What the hell? What the hell? What the hell is up? Hi, and welcome to this new experimental podcast of mine. My name is Claire, and I'm here to ask the tough questions in life, such as, what the hell is up? With you? With me? With the world? With those crazy vegan YouTubers out there on the web? This podcast is a play for me to be more honest and to put something out there that might be an encouragement to others. I'm keen on honesty and authenticity, yet I have somewhat learned to hide. So I hope that each podcast episode will allow me to get more comfortable in sharing out about my journey. Topics which will be addressed include my journey of mental health struggles, self-esteem and self-worth, sexuality, and a whole slew of other potentially relevant tidbits of my story. Thanks so very much for tuning in to listen. Grab some coffee or tea and think of this as the coffee shop date of your dreams. Hello, and welcome back to What the Hell is Up? You are tuning in to the third episode of What the Hell is Up. Perhaps you are just now tuning in to listen, or maybe you've listened to the first two episodes. But my name's Claire, and I'm so excited that you are here to listen and join me tonight, or this morning, or on your commute. I don't know, anywhere else. I'm just so grateful to be kind of there with you in that, and that you are tuning in to listen. So What the Hell is Up is a podcast where I basically just ask some real questions that are on my mind, ask some real questions in life, like what the hell is up with getting head lice at the age of 22? Or what the hell is up with your mom telling you this whole story of how there was a sea otter in your family pond out front, finding out that all the koi fish went missing, then the following day seeing a dead otter in the middle of the road of your suburban neighborhood? And what the hell is up with crying while driving? So yeah, I'm here to ask the real questions, you guys, and I'm just super glad that you're here along for the ride of that. Thank you so much for being here to listen. Hopefully you're getting cozy, because today I'm just ready to talk about something so lighthearted. It's getting dark here, it's getting colder, things have been a little bit dreary, maybe outside, in your home, in the world. Sometimes when things are dark, all you can do is focus on the happy things, and sometimes that's okay to find some of the lightness that's present. So today I'm wondering, what the hell is up with hygge? Did you hear what I said? What the hell is up with hygge? What the hell is up with this Danish concept of hygge?
What happened to So Take My Hand? Did you already sing that?
That happens after.
Oh yeah, sorry. The only tears surrounding our cheeks will be.
Let's start over. We should start over. Again.
Could you feel that vibe emanating from that little snippet I included? Let me paint the picture for you. So last spring, I was with my friend and my younger sister Callan and her girlfriend Liv, and we were sitting around a campfire right next to this lake in Callan, and we had constructed the campfire, we had roasted some veggies and other stuff on the fire, having a few drinks. We got cozied up around the fire, and Liv and Cal started playing this song that they've been playing ever since we were in high school. It's called Denmark, and I don't know, something about this little clip with the fire crackling and our giggliness and just the feeling in the lyrics of that longing to kind of run away to somewhere cozy and magical like Denmark with that person you love really created that feeling of hygge, especially with people in your life. And I don't know, the moment held a lot of simple joy in being together and creating a good moment for us all. So I had to include that in there. I hope you appreciated it. Maybe if you really liked the song, the good news is that Denmark is going to be on Olie G's next EP, which she should be releasing here in a couple of months. and she's also featured in my intro and outro music. So yeah, look for Denmark if you'd like to keep those cozy vibes going. So I happen to love this concept of hygge. Maybe you've already heard about this concept and maybe it's just a tired trending concept. If so, then just feel free to click stop and go listen to something else. But maybe this is new for you. So hygge is spelled Hygge. It's a Norwegian word that means well-being, but it's also part of the Danish language, and it's one of those words that's difficult to define because there's no direct English translation. And certainly I'm sure you can think of other words like this that like don't have an exact translation to English or from English to another language. And certainly that's just because certain cultural concepts don't exist in English-speaking countries, which I think is super cool. So already hygge gives us an opportunity to learn something new about a culture and try to apply it to like your own cultural context, which is super exciting. I don't know, I became obsessed with hygge for a couple of reasons, and I think one of the most important reasons that I started to really love hygge was because I live in kind of a dark, gloomy, very wet, often distasteful place in Seattle. And Seattle, it's known for its rain, it's known for trees, I guess, known for this thing called the Seattle Freeze, also known for its coffee, so I'll throw that out there as a plus. But it's also like definitely known for this vibe that does not appeal to everyone. I myself, I happen to be a Seattle girl through and through, even if I didn't want to be. I've traveled to a few other places and would love to live somewhere else someday, but I also just kind of have this pretty significant appreciation for Seattle. I don't know, I just love the coziness of the rain and the coffee culture and the charm of it all, even the way its people can be sometimes. I like it because if you look for the warmth in the city amidst this Seattle freeze, you can definitely find it, and maybe it takes a bit more of intentionality to seek it out. But it certainly exists, and even with this chilling Seattle freeze, and maybe you're not familiar with the Seattle freeze. If you're not familiar with it, the Seattle freeze is this idea that there's it's kind of like a cultural concept existing in Seattle, and that is that Seattleites tend to be flaky kind of socially. Sometimes they'll just give you the cold shoulder when it comes to making plans with them, but sometimes it means if you were talking to somebody and you wanted to hang out with them, maybe you would start to initiate plans, but instead of actually making plans with you, they would just say I'll get your number and I'll text you. And that might sound oh, of course I would do that, but I don't know, I've heard this described to me from folks from other areas who think that's quite peculiar. And instead of just setting plans oh, I'll see you tomorrow at this place, and just being really intentional and forthright about that. And then also even if you make plans with them over text, maybe they won't even follow through with it. And I've definitely been guilty of this one for sure. Trying to make plans with someone and then changing the time several times, or maybe, I don't know, I've definitely been guilty of this. And if you're listening and you can think of if you feel we've literally been waiting on plans and I'm standing you up currently, I am so sorry. And sometimes I just get distracted. Maybe give me a call. Hopefully I'll respond. I'm so sorry. I do try my darndest to follow up with people. Maybe this Seattle freeze is also having to do with our busyness, which is a stupid excuse to not follow through with plans, I will say. So another aspect of the Seattle freeze is just this cold shoulder that you can get from encounters with strangers, maybe just this shyness, I guess. And also, I guess, apparently the Seattle freeze also influences the way people in this area deal with conflict. And this could be depicted by, a few days ago, I was checking out a house in Ravenna that I might move into, and these guys were asking me, the way I typically deal with conflict, and they asked me if I tend to use Post-it notes to address conflict. And so, apparently people in this area would do that, and I was no, definitely not. I'm not about that passive-aggressive texts or the passive-aggressive Post-it notes. That was pretty funny to me. I've been pretty conscious of the Seattle freeze just because, and just wondering if I tend to contribute to it. I mean, I suppose since I've lived in this area my whole life, I went to school here, I'm living here now, probably I do contribute to the Seattle freeze. And it's probably, if I'm not emanating it, it's so deeply ingrained in me, I probably am contributing to it to some degree. And so I do try really hard to be aware of it, with trying not to tell people I'll hang out with them if I don't think I have the intentionality of doing so. Sometimes it's very hard for me to say no, though. But also, I don't know, even just in small things. If I'm like at a coffee shop and try to greet the baristas with a smile, and even though like it can be kind of awkward, like trying to have some conversation with them and saying thanks and bye as I'm leaving their shop, even if it seems like they don't even want to talk to me. Just, I don't know, I try to do like these little things to kind of try to warm up the Seattle freeze. But I also think that like maybe Seattleites are just like afflicted by introversion because of the weather. Because certainly in the summertime, I noticed students at my university were way more outgoing on campus and friendlier. And I think it's the same in the city too. Like people, I think they just tend to be more pleasant when it's sunny out. And if you go hiking, people are more outgoing when you're walking past them than in the city. But I mean, if you think about it, like when you're in the city wearing a raincoat, maybe you're not even wearing proper shoes for the rain. I know I feel like I'm always ill-equipped for the rain even though I'm from here. And you're trying to like walk quickly in the city to your next destination. Maybe you have your earbuds in, because that's a pretty common one. And yeah, you're wearing a raincoat, trying to get here in the rain on a dark night when it's only 4 p.m. Nobody is really feeling too friendly. So in one of my favorite coffee shop cafes in Seattle, it's in the neighborhood of Ballard, and let me know if you actually want to know the name of it and I can pass it along to you. I love going there because it's just super cozy vibes, and it's just so warm feeling. I love thinking about it. I wish I was there now. But there was a newspaper clipping up on a bulletin board, and I don't know what the news source was. Maybe it was the Seattle Times or something. And it said Seattle has been like voted or ranked the most hygge city of the US. And okay, wow, I found this so exciting because I mean, certainly Denmark, it's going to be the most hygge-lit place in the whole world. But to find out that my very own city in the United States might have some coziness to compare to that was exhilarating to me. And I also thought like, okay, this is something I need to share with people, because I think Seattleites and even transplants to Seattle can have like a really negative view of being here and get really jaded about the darkness, and definitely like seasonal depression goes into that, but just like getting really negative about the weather, and I don't know, I think that kind of mindset can be infectious, and so then other people are feeling bad about it, and yeah, like being honest about that is wonderful. But also I just think that if we could focus on cultivating the light amidst the darkness and trying to find those aspects of coziness and looking at the dark dreariness as an opportunity to invoke hygge, I think we would be all the better. So I did end up sharing about this hygge tidbit with one of my best friends, Sarah-Ann, who is right now, she's far away in Singapore, and I've included part of this cozy conversation that we had about hygge. So it's like the Danish concept of like feeling cozy and simple, like kind of like simple life and finding the joy in that. So the definition, a quality of coziness and comfortable conviviality that engenders a feeling of contentment or well-being.
So if you're feeling hygge, it means all of that.
And it's like sort of something that you foster, and it has to do with like being in a cold climate and having like a warm drink and just like kind of fostering like coziness in the simpleness of it. And like lighting candles and like drinking warm stuff.
So there's a physical aspect to hygge as well?
Yeah, it's like kind of like a vibe, but it's also a feeling of like community and closeness with one another.
Okay. You have to use it more in certain contexts, so then the more you use it, the more I think I understand it like in a theoretical sense.
Well, it is a concept. But Seattle was named like the most hygge city in the US.
Why?
Because it's so drab and rainy that everyone goes into coffee shops and is just trying to stay like cozy and warm.
It's like a coffee shop vibe.
Kinda, yeah. Coffee shop vibe, with fireplaces,
with
friends
and
and friends and family. Kind of like,
but it has to have a contrast of it being cold on the outside, or it doesn't.
I think it was inspired by maybe a place because it's Danish. I don't know if it's very cold in Denmark, but I think it is because it's in like northern Europe. And so it's just kind of a natural reaction of.
It's like how people huddle together.
Yeah, and like being in a cozy cabin because it's cold out.
Okay, so this is hygge?
Yeah, because we have like these warm, like pretty drinks.
That's true.
And one another, even though outside it's
Yeah.
Like dark and kind of depressing.
Yeah. I need to be more positive. I'm just not gonna look outside, but I need to be more positive.
Hearing that conversation just felt cozy to me as I like reminisced about coffee shop dates with her as she's far away now. It was like really, really lovely to look back on that. On my Instagram, in my bio, I have in the little like bio line, I have lover of hygge. And you know, on Instagram, if you click the translate button, it'll translate something. And sometimes I feel like it glitches and asks you to translate something that doesn't actually need to be translated. But on mine, if I click translate, it switches from lover of hygge to promise of fun, which I don't know. I just think that's like super fanciful, and I just like love seeing it switch to promise of fun. But oddly, hygge does not mean fun, and it's not just about fun, but it does have a lot of derivatives. Right now, I'm having a hygge lit evening, so I've got a few candles going. I've got 3 candles going right now. Candles are extremely important to the Danes. Typically, they have at least 5 candles going. So sometimes you have to focus on ventilating the room, and please be careful lighting candles because I tend to get a little crazy with that. I'm also like getting cozy with a warm beverage, so I have a cup of tea in one of my favorite mugs. I'm also wearing some hygge buksers. Hygge bukser, which is some comfy pants for a hygge night. So I'm just wearing some comfy leggings and I got a comfy sweater on. This word, hygge bukser, literally translates to coziness pants. So that's wonderful. And you could also say that I'm having a hygge snack, which is a chit-chat or cozy conversation which does not touch on controversial issues. Because gals and guys, we need some hygge snack. We need some cozy conversation in our lives these days. I know that sometimes, like certainly, controversial conversation is a necessary part of our day, but I also just hope that you might be able to find moments in your day of having cozy conversation about lighthearted topics that don't touch on any controversy. Yes, so I am having a hyggestund, a moment of hygge. And this word actually happens to translate to cozy coffee. And definitely if you were having a cup of cozy coffee, it would be a hyggestund, a moment of hygge. And a hyggestund, or a moment of hygge, can happen upon you at any time in the day. I love hygge because it takes a bit of intentionality to create something beautiful for yourself or for your family or friends. And there is like some mindfulness to hygge. And I love it because sometimes I do need those moments of simple joys in my day. I'm thinking back when I was a student nurse working at the VA hospital during like a long 12-hour shift, taking care of patients, feeling like tired and a bit stressed. Sometimes my nurse preceptor would make this instant coffee for me, and she had this like super funny way of putting a carton of milk in the microwave and she'd warm it up and then she would mix that with the coffee granules. It was like Taster's Choice instant coffee, and for some reason, oddly, this was so delicious. So much better than making instant coffee with hot water. I highly recommend adding actually milk or like a milk alternative to coffee granules. Tastes way better. Going throughout my day, she would like make this very simple thing for me. I don't know, it was a very nice pick-me-up, and it was also just so kind of her to make it for me. I would kind of sit there, take a moment, take a little hyggestund, take a sip of this cozy coffee, and I don't know, kind of gave me like a really awesome break during the day and kind of got me through like the rest of the day. And I don't know, it was also having that cozy moment with a cup of coffee was like a comfort, and it was a nice juxtaposition to like being busy on a hospital unit. So I also just love the way that hygge kind of leans on this like juxtaposition of something else. Like there's dreary coldness outside, but it's kind of a necessary part of hygge because it provides that juxtaposition to create coziness out of the coldness. And hygge also kind of gave me a way to describe this indulgence that like I already was like infusing with my life. I have like always really loved having a night in. I love like going out with friends, but I also just used to feel really guilty for like really enjoying having like a cup of tea, getting my space like nice and cozied up, and like reading a book or doing some writing, listening to music, just like having a cozy, relaxing night in. I used to feel kind of guilty and weird to like really enjoy that. Even on a Friday night, I was thinking I was kind of a loser for enjoying that, but no, I encourage you to embrace that hygge lit night of yours and don't feel guilty or weird about it, because if it brings you joy, that is wonderful. Besides having like a solitary, cozy night to yourself, hygge is also about cultivating coziness in community. And I don't know, I happen to love, especially on the nights when I'm alone or feeling more lonely, thinking about those cozy times in community with others is really wonderful. I love thinking about the most hygge moments that I've had in community. I have like a few that come to mind. The first is not actually I don't know if you could call it a true hygge moment because I was in a warm climate, but back in the summer when I was in Spain, I was doing some volunteer farming in Catalonia, and during the days we would be like working with hosts. It was super duper hot outside and the sun was like pretty intense there. But then as the night came, we would eat dinner together quite late. We would prepare the meal. Oftentimes us volunteers would cook the meal and like eat together with this family. And it was very simple living out there. We were walking around barefoot in the garden and just really lovely simplicity there and eating together this meal. And afterwards we would follow it up with this very unrushed, cozy conversation together out on this patio that we actually helped construct. And like something about working hard during the day in the heat of the sun and then waiting for the night to bring this like refreshing coolness and just having this conversation with our host family. They were so kind and loving and warm, watching the sunset and not feeling rushed to eat the meal, because in Spain like they tend to eat very late, like maybe 9, 10, 30-ish, and then I don't know, still being up at like midnight knowing we were going to wake up early to work the next day was really lovely. Also, I've had like a lot of hygge nights with my younger sister lately because her and I are living together, and so if we both are home, we have this habit of putting on the tea kettle, getting kind of cozy in her room, lighting some candles, maybe getting some cookies to go with our tea, and just like going down to her bedroom, and I feel like her and I just end up talking for maybe like 2 hours. And technically this also would not be like hygge snack. It would not be cozy conversation because usually we're talking about how freaking tired we are of the patriarchy or homophobia or I don't know, annoying YouTubers or something. Just like having that person you can like really trust to share what's on your mind and heart, and getting cozy with some tea and candles and just like really unwinding is so hygge to me. And just kind of, I don't know, recognizing the blessing of having that person who you can really like unwind with. Also, like back in college, my housemates and I used to really enjoy like cooking meals together and having people over just like a few times. And this was super hygge because I think something about having limited resources and having limited time made the times when we did manage to cook something yummy and like invite people in even like more hygge and more special. I don't know, I just like loved the opportunity to either invite like some close friends in or just like eat together, or even invite some people who I didn't know very well in to like share a meal and hang out together was super hygge and something I really want to continue, something I really want to keep in my life. I don't know, I love hygge because it's this feeling of simple contentment with the simple like pure joys in life that really bring like peace and joy to the soul and to communities. It looks different depending on what you need, and it requires a bit of like intentional creativity. It requires some effort to like create something beautiful for yourself or for your family or for your friends, but like how worth it is to create a cozy moment for yourself to recharge or for the people that you love. I just think that like these things, having cozy conversation in community or reconnecting with yourself through like a slow joy-filled moment, these moments are life-giving, and I think if we can look for the hygge moments in our day and foster gratitude for the simple things, we'll be all the better, guys. These things are necessary as we're encountering like these dark, dreary, potentially dreary, cold nights and days, to find those simple joys to lean on and be hope-inspiring. So starting now and going forward into future podcasts, I'm going to include a hygge moment or a tip for hygge from my day. So today's hygge tip is to infuse your hygge space with little things that'll make you feel joy or make you feel inspired, help you to get cozy or encouraged. For example, in my hygge space, I have these lovely little cards that my friend Sarah-Ann sent me as like a little pen pal note. She sent me this little like paper sunglass thing with some quotes on it. And then I was feeling kind of disempowered and needed some encouragement, so I wrote out these feminist quotes on this card, and I have this one quote by Maya Angelou. Each time a woman stands up for herself, she stands up for all women. So yeah, some inspiration there. And then I also have like this little heart from somebody special who I'm missing. And yeah, just, I don't know, some feminist quotes, some little pen pal letters, cozy little heart are some little tidbits that I've put in my hygge space to kind of infuse some joy, little simple reminders of the good stuff in life. This could sound so cheesy, but I don't know, I just really recommend putting some hygge lit items in your space. I love hygge, friends, and I'm sending you all the cozy vibes in this cold November we're having. I love taking the time to mindfully create something for myself and the people I love, and I think it's really worth it to bring that kind of coziness into your life. And sometimes the people in our lives might need a little bit of encouragement to bring some coziness into their life, but maybe they really need it. And so I hope maybe if you think this podcast could be a benefit to a friend of yours, maybe you could pass it along to them or discover some way to share out some cozy vibes with the people you love. And certainly I'm sending all the cozy, warm hygge vibes to you. Stay cozy, friends. Peace and love.